really fast. Are we live? We should be live, and I think we are live. Welcome to Modwain's House of Fun. And
delayed on my Popsy browser.
Well, we should be live, though, is it? Yeah,
yes, we are live.
Yeah, we are. Make me doubt and all that. Today we're going to do a little bit of a ramble hangout. I mean, I didn't really have a topic planned, what with me having to work the last few days, and I haven't been able to prepare anything for us. But at the same time, I have something for us. We have Carlos back.
Yes, I am back, and I miss so much.
Carlos's internet.
So much. Not just my internet, my computer.
Hi there, people in the chat. Hi there, Marcel. Hi there, Crusader Soul. And hi there, Alicia. Alicia, I sent you a link as well if you want to join. I did say we don't have really a topic, but you are welcome to join in. Who knows? Maybe you can bring in a topic. And there is Rin. Hey, Rin. Welcome.
Hi, Rin.
Hi.
God, I miss you guys.
I did send out a bunch of invites. And Rin is a big YouTuber now.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yes, she is.
She's talking to Sticks and Hexenhammer. My God.
Yes.
Good.
Well, it
Well,
is.
good. I don't even know of me.
Yes. Carlos, you've had Sargon and Bearing and Goodfella and Skeptor on your channel.
Yeah, I love talking to. I've loved talking to all of those, and Skeptor and Goodfella.
But he didn't rub off. That's my point.
Exactly. No, because soon after I could have capitalized on that. It wasn't a boost, because just a fun chat. I love talking to intelligent people, as you guys know. And
what are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's why I'm doing here is because I'm talking to intelligent people.
Yeah, I know. Maybe.
And me. I'm getting in before anyone else.
I'm the least intelligent one. But I've got my internet back, but I'm going to upgrade it, as I said in that little video I made in my announcement for my last video. And also, I have a brand new computer.
Cool.
Bloody
Internet and computer. Wow.
Hexa-core, 8 GB RAM, and a good graphics card. But not the graphics card which I ordered, because it's my monitor just can't take it. So I have to.
Nice one. AMD though, is it? It's not an
Yes.
Intel.
Yes. It's a Ryzen. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Ryzen. Yeah. Oh man, I think I might go back to OBS. I'm going to test it out. I
have to try stuff like that out as well, because everyone keeps telling me how OBS is this great program.
Oh, it is great. My computer just couldn't hack it. Well, it was 10 years old, my computer, so it wouldn't be there. But this
computer should be able to do that. But
and I'm going to upgrade it during the year. I'm going to add another 8 GB RAM. That'll make it 16. It'll leave me another 16 to make it 32 if I ever want to. And nice. I have a new SSD hard drive and stuff like that. It's apart from burning my one of a hard drive, an external hard drive that I had so much shit in that. It wasn't the one I was fearing, but it wasn't the one I was fearing that I'd lost, because that had my documentaries and shit. But I still lost a lot of stuff. But anyway, that's enough about me.
You mean your computer?
Yeah, me and my computer. Yeah, because I love. Oh man!
But you said that the whole of Portugal had no internet, right?
No, no, just my little area.
Well, that's basically it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But I'm gonna add 4G. Internet. I found out that it's much faster than my ADSL. At least
DSL
2
is
times
shit.
faster.
No, it's definitely shit, because you need really good telephone lines for good ADSL,
Exactly.
Especially if it's copper cables and you don't have fiber exchanges or something.
Yep,
so my experience in Ireland was 4G was way faster. I couldn't get DSL.
Because I have not a lot of people here, and all 3 providers set up their station thingy, I should not have any problem with my traffic.
Oh, that's nice.
So, yeah.
Good.
So I miss a hell of a lot. I wanted to talk about free speech. God damn it, because of Count Dankula and because of now Jonathan Pye, seriously, man, I know the cure. I know the cure for that, and it's poverty. No, poverty. Like Portugal, we are poor country. I mean, shit poor, and we don't have those bad habits.
Yeah.
The professionals either immigrate to earn a lot of money because they have low wages, or they just want to work as much as possible, 3 or 4 jobs, and get the money. So teachers and shit, they don't have time to indoctrinate anything. They just no. Give me the money.
Well, ours claim not to, but they still manage.
No, they here they don't, but in the UK, in the Western countries, other Western countries, they are actively indoctrinating kids, and that's child abuse.
Yeah, that's the scary thing.
Jeez, that's damn it.
Well, Short Story has a friend who teaches here. I mean, what does she think?
Well, I know this, but okay, I'll let her answer it. One moment, so I can mute myself.
Yeah, that was really weird because not so long ago she told me that they have to sign new policies, and basically it says that every form of racism, hate speech, whatever, they have to report, and it's taken, as far as I understood, from students or from other teachers. Then you have to report it. You also have to challenge it and react to it, although the challenging part will not be there if you know that you cannot say what you think because you will get in trouble. And she also says, like, according to these policies, I'm a really terrible human being, I'm racist. She's really unhappy about that. And it's also encouraged, for example, where she works, it's also encouraged that if the colleague says to you something that you find inappropriate, you actually go and report to your supervisor in case of being fucking grown human being, and set your boundaries and say to the colleague, look, I don't find that fits, that is not the place and the time.
Sorry, for which workplace is that? Is that for every workplace or just where you work?
No, this is for where she works as a teacher.
A teacher, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And a primary school teacher or?
No,
secondary?
that's weird. No, that's weird system because she works at the school. Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to disclose it at the moment because I might.
No, just to get a rough idea what kind of ages she would teach. That's all.
I think 16 to 21.
Ah, yeah, okay. So
I think.
Okay. So kind of leaving cert age, and they are heavily into indoctrination there.
No, exactly, it gets one worse. They have to report on one another if they wrong speak.
And do they have a list of kind of what's it's the usual talking points, I would guess? Is it like racism, homophobia, transphobia, anti-Muslim sentiment, or whatever it's called?
Irrational phobia is rational fear of something. Exactly, irrational. Yeah.
We should get Alicia on. She made a great video on it, and they actually came up with new what were they called? Anarcho something. They came up with a new term, which wasn't a fear of, it was a dislike, but it was some Greek or Latin word. Let me see.
It's mischief or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, phobia, the term phobias, as in a lot of things, they do mix Greek and phobias are Greek words, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. But there was another word which was actually it wasn't phobia as in fear. There she is, Alicia. She just pasted it in the chat. It's called anarcho.
Anarcho-communist.
Anarcho-communist, and it was something missia.
Yeah,
missia. And that's basically more to the point. It's actually a dislike of something. So It wasn't Islamophobia, it was Islamomisia or something. So that's a new term I hadn't heard before, but I think that that's going to slowly inch its way into the thing. You know, the phobia, they will eventually find out that people will reject the term phobia, and they'll say, well, you're not afraid, you actually hate this thing. And then it's much easier to turn it into a regulatable offense, because then it is hate, and then it's hate speech, and then all the new laws that have been drafted or that have been generated in the last 10 years can actually be used to really police people.
But that's
I mean, that's where people who have lived or countries that have lived under dictatorships can either go totally to another one, and after a few generations, as Spain went, and it's going back to Franco type shit. It's the second country in Europe, more or less. Turkey's not in Europe, but you know what I mean. That has political prisoners in the 21st century. That is just unheard of. And but you can go like Portugal did, and every government we have here, all the politicians, all the political parties are basically centrists, because the people hate extremes. They will never vote for anything that is too extreme. They try to introduce laws that are basically mirror anything the European Union does, but yeah, they pass them and then they just don't enforce them. They just have them there. That's what, because we don't have enough money to enforce them.
Can I ask a question again? Short story.
Yes.
To Modwain's girlfriend. Just a question. What is the punishment for not reporting somebody if they have transgressed and it has been proven that you witnessed this?
To be honest, I don't know. The conversation about it was pretty short. I couldn't really talk to her about it yet. I only know that she had to sign it.
Okay.
So I don't know. I also don't know how did they word all those new policies. What words did they use? Yeah, sorry.
It would be very interesting to get a copy of this, a paper copy. Obviously, you don't need to disclose which school it's from, but I would think that's probably something. It could be some boilerplate text that is being used by multiple schools, which would make it easier, you know, to anonymize it.
I thought about it. I just didn't have a chance yet.
Yeah. Well, once we find out, we can probably find where, instead of taking the particular one from the particular school, in order not to endanger your friend, we could just try and find the boilerplate that it was derived from. Because usually these ideas don't they're not drafted by some board. They usually just copied from somewhere else because somebody thinks it's a nice idea and maybe slightly modified, you know. But I could imagine that there's a rule that it says that if you're not disclosing a thing like racism, then you will be automatically regarded as a conspirator. Somebody who conspires with this other person because you didn't kind of tell on them. So you're also a racist. So that would be one way to kind of make people liable for building their kind of little spy network, you know.
Yeah, of course. This is just 100% communistic system.
I'm just guessing here. I'm just conjecture.
Hey, real, you were East German, were you?
No, see, I'm from Bavaria, but my grandparents, they were in the Eastern Zone.
Yeah, so you should ask them.
The way that communism,
we'll pass them on.
The way that communism works is what they do. They have the Iron Curtain, so they don't let people out. Even like you can't kind of freely travel the world until you're pension age. So when you're of pension age, and then you're obviously not contributing to the state of workers anymore. So then they say, okay, now you can travel, because now now you're basically only leeching off us. So that's when my grandparents left the East, left behind their farm, their house, everything, which was taken by somebody else. You know, when the wall fell, a lot of people were very afraid that ex-Easterners might come back and claim their land and their houses back, because it was all kind of just, given away, But the way that it would work is they keep you locked into this communism until you're basically not a productive member anymore, and then they let you out and spew you out in the world, into the world, and say, okay, now you can go. And since there's nothing there, it's kind of poor and shitty, and then there's usually all this spying and all this like repression. People gladly go. They just leave it behind, and so you retain your productive people in the Eastern 70s. You retain them, and you have full employment, because all the people who are not like part of the system, you expel them, or they go into prison. so it's perfect, But anyway, let's end aside.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm chewing away on crisps. My bad.
Okay. Eat some proper food, mate.
I just got home from my work.
Well, you have your food.
Don't they have
you have your food. I mean, I didn't want to hog the space, but John, why did you ask about Eastern Germany? How did you get there? How did you think? I mean, I know I have a German.
Stasi.
Yeah, the Stasi. Yeah.
No, I know you're German.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, the Stasi. I mean, they are forcing people to spy and report on each other. Stasi's the first thing that comes to mind, strangely enough. But then I did read a lot of John le Carré in my youth.
You should have read, what's his name? The guy from 1984?
Yeah.
I forgot his name now.
What? George Orwell?
Yeah, Orwell, that's the one.
Of course I've read a lot of Orwell. But Orwell didn't write about the East German Secret Service. That's the point where...
No, but he did write about how in the UK you had to report on your fellow men if they wrong think.
Yeah, I mean...
Which is now what schools are asking of their teachers.
Of course.
The thing with the Stasi is obviously... The insidious thing about the Stasi was that you weren't officially a Stasi member. You were secretly Stasi. So anybody and children were not excluded, So you could be an official spy.
I thought they were particularly targeted.
The thing is, obviously, if you help the system behind the scenes, then the system would help you, and it would advance you. In your notes, you'd get
the ultimate corruption.
Preferential, you get preferential treatment. Let's say in education. Let's say if you were looking for a space to study. Obviously, if you were a party member, that would give you a bonus. If you were Stasi, that would give you another bonus. But the insidious thing for the rest of society is that nobody knows who is part of it. So everybody, that's the actual real fear about it. That you do not know whether your boyfriend, your child, your parent, your uncle might be spying for this totalitarian system.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think people don't understand, that we are heading for the times when even the families are disintegrated because you couldn't trust your wife, your husband, your brothers and sisters, indeed. And I always, lately when I talk to young people about the communism, and it has happened a few times, I only basically tell them one scene that I've seen in the movie as a small child, really, and it represents exactly what communism is. And I remember I was a few years old, and I cannot even tell you the name of the movie anymore. It's just the scene that stuck with me, of an old woman in Russia making tea for herself. And in the kitchen, as she was old, she stumbled upon something, whatever, and she did spilled the tea on the newspaper, on the photo of Stalin. And she started to be very nervous and very shaky. She started to clean it. And I remember just, I was like 4, asking my mother why she's so nervous. And she's like, because she spilled the tea. I'm like, adult people don't get nervous. No one yells at adult people for that. Mm-hmm. And my mother, she never lied to me. She tries to explain things with the words appropriate for my age. So she basically explained that someone could basically say that she insulted Stalin. She could go to jail for it. She could actually lose her life over it. Mm-hmm. And she wouldn't know even who would tell because the neighbor could see it, whatever. And as a child, I couldn't understand it quite. It was very weird. But
that was in Russia. Sorry, in Russia.
That was the movie was. That was in Russia. But basically, this is what it is. I still remember sometimes talking about communistic propaganda from my country. I come from Poland, here in the Netherlands, and people from the Netherlands would tell me something like, I believe you because I know you. So that's why I believe you. But I just can't believe it at the same time. I can imagine that. So, and I think this is the part why it's so difficult for people to realize it might happen. First of all, we have way too good situation for the years. And then when you hear about real stories, the people here who didn't experience it are like, okay, they cannot imagine it. They cannot actually think it's ever possible.
You know what I think is the problem? It's because people have too much goodwill. They actually think that everybody is good.
They are naive.
That is a real big problem. They really assume that everybody is good-hearted, and that's why they think that virtue signaling is something good. They actually think that it's good to condemn
this is
bad opinions.
This is a problem pretty specific to the West. There are actual scientists, psychologists, or there's science too for what the hell, and psychiatrists who actually think that the main reason why most Europeans know nothing, absolutely nothing about the Byzantium Empire is because the fall of the Byzantium Empire, which was the last greatest Christian empire, was so traumatic that people have banned it from their history. Come to think of that, we don't like to think of negative things. When it's negative, we try to mask it, or we try to shun it, or we try to not think of it at all.
Yeah, that may be true, but going back to what Real Raven was saying about how everyone's, thinks everyone's good, and yet simultaneously we have this massive movement who are obsessed with how everyone's oppressed. Which is a narrative exactly the opposite of how everyone's good. It's how everyone's innately evil.
No. Actually, it's the same thing. But everyone white people is bad, because you do need a bad guy. You do need an adversary. You do need a scarecrow. You need them. Now, for the longest time, they were the Nazis, and then for a period of time, they were the communists. But the communists are now pulling the strings. And they can't say that the capitalists are the Nazis, so they make it a little bit broader. Everyone who doesn't agree with the social justice narrative is the problem.
Modwain, can you check something? It seems like the screen is stuck on my icon.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, mate. I think it's because before the stream, before we went live, you showed us something, and I clicked on it. And that's why. Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry too. I really didn't want to hog the screen.
That's all right.
We'll
blame you. No matter what shit we say, we'll put this out. It wasn't us. It was that bloody Raven saying it.
Exactly. It was all me. I'm just really good impersonating voices,
No, you did great. You did great.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I want to address something that Alicia said in the chat, because I only now got to read the chat. Because she said, what if the teachers just said, no, we're not going to be snitching on each other? Now, that's the thing. As far as I understood, my friend, large part of the teachers, and this is really scary, is not that they only are scared that they would lose the job or something. Actually, large part of them do believe in that political correctness and don't insult me bullshit. So they actually, a lot of them believes that it's a right thing to do. And then you have teachers who are afraid, and then you have very little teachers who actually thinks what the hell is going on. So that's a huge problem, and that's really scary.
It's kind of like the useful idiots that Stalin even talked about. You have the useful idiots who are well in line of pushing the narrative, and then when push comes to shove, they will be pushed aside as well.
Am I distorting? Modwain, it's said that Marcel said I'm distorting.
You sound okay.
Yeah, me, yeah.
Okay, maybe it wasn't loud enough. One thing that I think is really important is that it doesn't help if everybody is afraid and you don't actually talk about it. I think you really have to talk about this stuff in the open. So in the case of the teachers, they have to talk about that. They have to bring out that they do not agree with this rule, you know, and then say, do you agree with this rule? Do you agree with this rule? Because I have some problems with this, you know. So you have to kind of bring it out and then say, like, I wouldn't like to be the asshole that says that accuses you of having said the wrong word. You know, I don't think that it's right to lose one's job or be disciplined.
That is true. Unfortunately, they've ramped up the fear of ostracism and the amount of criticism you might get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but you have to solve it in the group, though. You can't solve it on your own. You actually have to
Of course, you have
peers,
to be really brave.
Yeah.
I'm really confident of who you're talking to.
Yeah. Well, you know, start with your friends, I'd say.
Start the process.
That's the thing, though. That's why they actually don't want you to talk and to speak, only report. Because now, when you know, this goes for most people, not everyone, but most people. When you know someone can report on you, you will be less likely to talk about it. Yeah. Also, because it's enough. Look, if I go and play it innocent and nicely and report on you, they're going to, let's put it in parentheses, protect me. So they won't even ask you about this. It just will be my side of the story. And that means I can say whatever the hell I want to say about you at the moment. And let's be honest, people are nasty and they do it just because they can, or they don't like you, or you piss them off or something. So this is exactly why I see it like doing it bit by bit. First we sell you that political correctness and be respectful and whatever bullshit, just a little bit. Then you get used to it, because look, in the 90s, when I remember in Poland, they were talking about not insulting and being respectful and being respectful to all the religions. Basically what they were saying, hey, don't call the Muslim people goat fuckers and don't deny them jobs just because they're Muslim. So to a lot of people, that sounds reasonable, right?
Yeah.
And I just will do it little bit by little bit, little bit by little bit.
Of course.
To the point when you wake up and realize, okay, I cannot trust the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's the talking. I agree with you, Real Laven. We should talk about it, but at this moment already, it is very difficult to talk at your work, and also. Also, because we are so soft, we are everything. We don't want to lose our, privileges and everything we have. So why would we risk?
And it's the classic problem that everyone is led to believe they're the only ones who think a certain thing. Therefore, it takes an inordinate amount of bravery to be the one to break that, when really everyone's thinking the alternative view.
What I find strange is that they think the people that push these draconian laws and actions, etc., think they are immune to it eventually. They will also be subject to the same measures, and then what?
Then it's too late.
Exactly. Then it's too late.
But I mean, you're aware of this. The question is, so it's two questions. One is, what can you do if you know about the mechanism, and the other one is, I think you have to ask yourself what motivates people to play along. I think that people want to be just good. They want to be better.
Well,
they want to be like virtuous.
And people want a quiet life, and people want
a quiet life. People want a quiet life.
No, it's not just fear. I don't think so.
No, it's multiple. It's multiple. It's not one thing. It's lots.
If you report somebody else, you don't do it to have a quiet life. If you accuse somebody, you don't do it for quietness.
If you can accuse someone in private, so no one knows it's you doing the accusing because you're sheltered. Yeah, you're basically creating your own echo chamber. Well, not your own echo chamber. You're
No.
an echo chamber in which you are part, and everyone who has a different point of view will be extradited. Will not be part of your immediate circle anymore.
So you want harmony? That's what you're saying.
No.
Not quietness, harmony.
You don't.
You know,
want
everybody
harmony.
says the same words, uses the same concepts, and has the same political compass.
It's not harmony, because it is, in a way, it is fear, but people don't recognize it as fear. People recognize
that's
it
not a
as
motivation.
good.
I mean, you know, I want to do things because I want everybody to fear. That's not a motivation.
No. The motivation is I want to protect people.
I must admit, I misunderstood, Real, because I thought you were saying what motivates people to go along with it.
Yes,
as opposed to
question.
Participate, which are two completely different things.
Yeah, participate in snitching, you know, that culture.
Yeah, the massive majority of people go along with it and wouldn't necessarily participate in the activity.
Yeah.
And so it's two separate questions.
Yeah.
One is, why do people tolerate the situation at all? And that's separate from what motivates the people who will actually actively participate.
I think part one.
You only have to understand any office politics and the backstabbing, lying, conniving that some people participated to understand that side.
I think that part, going along with that part, I already answered, and that's just because people people think that largely the system is good. They assume it's for our benefit. So that's why you go along. You think it's for our best because you know it's anti-racist. It's for harmony. It's cohesion. It's all good. You know. So we want to be tolerant, for instance. We want to be diverse, and it's assumed that it's for the best. That there's no nefarious other reasons behind this. So that's the motivation for going along. But the question is, what's the motivation for snitching, for actually escalating the system? That's the question.
As I said, it's exactly the same as any politics in a workplace. There are some bad people who will do anything to get themselves ahead of everyone else.
And Raven, this is the thing, the first part you said, believing it's good can make you think participate in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. How many times I did hear from people arguments like, yeah, okay, maybe it's not good to report on colleagues, but at the same time, I don't want to be called this or I don't want to be called that. People just want to have it easy nowadays. They don't want to grow up. They don't want to basically, establish boundaries themselves, because it's easy to report on you if I think you are out of line, right? But it takes the guts to actually, look you in the eye and say, look, I think it's inappropriate. Can you please stop saying that or call me that or behave like that towards me at the workplace? People don't know how to do it anymore. And I think that our generation is really lost because we've been only fed the lies about our rights and that we should be respected and that we are fucking special and all that. So a lot of people have this kind of entitlement that, you should be respectful of me and it's not nice. So that's also the being immature and just wanting to have an easy life and being protected.
I find it interesting that the example you say is that it's people who said that they directly were slighted by another person, called the wrong thing. But I think most of the offense that's being taken is not being taken directly. It's not, I feel slighted because I'm white, I feel slighted because, but it's taken on behalf of other groups where you say, oh, what you said is probably sexist or homophobic or racist. I'm not black myself, but I think what you said is racist. So I'm taking offense on behalf of a third party.
It's nearly all like that. That's spot on. But that is the actual core of it. Is that it's
it's assumed.
I'm white, but I'm good because I'm taking offence at racist speech on your behalf, even if you don't.
Exactly. And what people don't realize is that that's infantilizing, because you're infantilizing the oppressed group. That you say, oh, women are weak because I'm part of this church of women worsting, black people or colored POCs are weak because they are underprivileged. So I need to constantly defend them like a child, you know. And it's also funny.
Most of the people complaining are contradictions of their own complaint, which is means they're being utterly condescending. That I could cope with it, but though everyone else can't.
This is why it's so utterly dangerous that a judge in the UK has sentenced someone because his dog lifted up his right paw. Yeah. Because that's all it is.
No, but it's dangerous because the judge totally overruled the person's own explanation as to what he was doing and why.
No, that's another reason why it's dangerous. But even if the judge would be 100% correct in his assumptions, even if the judge would be 100% correct in his assumptions that Count Dankula did it to offend people and blah 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 history and blah 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 the Jews, I'm sorry guys, what are we talking about? A dog lifting his right paw. And this is such a big problem for people that we have to protect our society from it. If this is how you think of your citizens, then of course you're infantilizing them.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that is the entire historical tradition of political tradition of the United Kingdom, that of infantilizing the citizens.
This is the only country in the history of mankind, in the modern history of mankind, that hasn't done that yet. No, but the only one who hasn't done that yet is America, and trust me, they've been working towards it. It's that Trump won because
what about McCarthy?
Well, McCarthy was a bastard, but he was an open bastard.
Okay. They had rules as well, and they would say
those rules
they were telling people to tell on others who might have communist manifests lying around.
Just like in communism, people told on people who were capitalist. Mm-hmm. It was an ideological fight, but at least it was an ideological fight that was very open, and a lot of people in America weren't in favor of it, and this got it eventually stopped. Well, a lot of the McCarthy rules got overturned.
Well, it is not open in UK now. I mean, it's very open. I mean,
it's not. Actually, it's not. You know how close it is. We know that Count Dankula is being sentenced. We don't know what the sentence will be, but we know it about him. Most people don't know that 9 people a week get arrested because of this.
Mm. Yeah.
Most people don't know this. Most people don't know that school teachers get told that they have to report on their students and their colleagues. Most people don't know this.
People also don't know that the guy who placed the bacon on the mosque entrance was killed in prison.
Was murdered. Yeah? This is some high-level USSR bullshit that's going on in the UK right now, and it's happening.
He died too.
Well, no, he got killed. I'm sorry, that's murder. But
did he? I don't know.
Yeah, he got killed.
He got killed, but murdered.
Okay, I didn't have the intel on that.
He didn't die because he stubbed his toe.
He didn't kill himself or something for guilt of placing the wrong condiment on the wrong door handle.
Yeah, and that
the
judge,
more you know as a cook, right?
the judge that sentenced that guy that died, was killed in prison because of the bacon and shit. He or she sentenced him to death, which in the UK has no death sentence, and
2 years. 2 years. 2 years for taking the wrong ingredient from your fridge.
But it was a death sentence. He died. They killed him. They sent him to a prison where he got killed. That is a death sentence.
Yep.
If Tommy Robinson goes to a prison, he will die. He goes into jail. It's a death sentence, even if it's for a week.
Well, you've seen his workaround though. You go to the food place and start a fight. Say who's Muslims and fight everybody. So you get put into solitary confinement. Obviously, it will extend your sentence, but at least you won't die.
It depends. No.
That's what they did in his interview. You didn't see it.
Yes,
he wouldn't be alive if he hadn't done it.
Exactly, but now if he goes again, he will die, of course. And what
Depends
the
on the
UK
person.
needs again is Cromwell, Oliver Cromwell.
Sorry. No.
Robespierre.
Yes,
No.
yes, yes,
No.
yes.
No.
He's
Pure
much better.
down.
He's much better than what's
He's a
happening.
Taliban.
I don't
No
care.
dancing, no celebrating, no
Doesn't matter.
music, no theatre.
No,
But in all fairness,
other religions.
if we go back, let's say 40, 50, maybe 60 years, have you any idea how right-wing people would consider the left-wing people from then now?
Okay.
Hell, even most communists by today's standards will be right-wing.
Oh yeah. I mean, and our right wing are now practically communists. I mean, it's insane.
No, they're beyond communism. Because I mean, if we look at the USSR was communism, right? Well, not really, but
Not really.
let's
Yeah,
pretend
there's
it was
no
socialist.
true Scotsman. Yeah, no true Scotsman.
let's pretend. No, let's pretend that it was. Yeah, Stalin was pretty much a nationalist. Was
He
he?
was socialist.
No. Well, yeah, he was, but he was a nationalist because he cared about the Russians.
He was a national
Yeah,
socialist.
and that's why he killed so many of them. Yeah.
Well, no, he killed Ukrainians. He didn't.
No.
kill
I mean,
Russians.
not just no. He killed them in his
Well, yeah.
orders in World War II. Who basically, and it's a fact. It's not. They just sent them to die. No,
that's because well, there were the officers, but the officers were guilty of wrong things, so he had to kill them. Then there were the soldiers, but there weren't enough guns, but he still had to fight a war, so that's how he killed them. And he sent people to the gulags because they had a wrong thing as well. But if you look at how he treated the people from Ukraine, from Belarus, from Poland, he didn't care about them. He was a fucking nationalist.
But
Yeah, but he
everyone
was
was
a Georgian,
nationalist back then.
ironically.
Let's get back to
He
the
wasn't a
topic.
Russian.
But there is
He was
about
Georgian,
freedom?
yeah.
there is one
Just to
thing. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, just to tie it back to what you said about Russia, people weren't just being sent to prison because of a thing that they did wrong. Obviously, a minuscule thing like spelling T, on the wrong picture, that would just be an excuse to put a person into prison in communist Russia. They had quotas. If you read the Archipelago, they needed a certain amount of people in the work camps to carry out this work. It was an industry, so it was more or less. If you didn't, even if you did nothing wrong, if you were as quiet as a mouse and didn't tell anything, you ran the risk of being carted off to prison. And what Solzhenitsyn said, that if only people had actually done something against it, it shouldn't have been so easy to imprison people, to lead them out, and they would usually arrest people at the night, and they would usually tell them to take their shoes off and walk down the stairs quietly. Nobody made a
Arrest
stink.
him at night like Dankula.
It's okay. Now maybe they kind of involve the press. It's kind of interesting that they kind of try to still turn it into a victory and say, "Oh, he's a racist, he's a Nazi," and look, we're doing good work here. We are actually, but eventually, when it's more than 9 per week, when it's hundreds, then they will certainly divert the press elsewhere.
No, the media will go thousands. We need thousands, as long as it's the right.
But see, then the media won't look there anymore. You're not allowed to look there anymore, especially mainstream media. They're already doing it to like pundits, independent pundits. They don't. Lawrence Southern now is banned for life from UK
But that's the thing, because you see, there's this.
for being
facade
racist
of
to
left
God.
and right. Okay,
She's
facade of left and
racist to
right.
God.
But
Yeah.
there's
Yeah, sorry, George.
sorry if I can.
Facade of left and right. But when you talk about the press, the right-wing press, the Daily Mirror, the Daily Mail, the Sun, which are supposedly right-wing papers, were just as firm on their condemnation of Dankula as the left-wing press.
Short story. You wanted to say something. Sorry, I cut across you, and now you didn't get to say it.
Yeah, because there is one thing I want to say, and at one point it's good what you said about Russia, but when I look, for example, at communistic Poland, and well, my father did did both live during communistic times. I'm sorry, I don't remember that, but I know that my father, for example, was terribly beaten up by police for telling a joke. And I remember the story my mother told me when she was in high school. She loved the history, and she got the hold of the book by accident that she's not supposed to see. And she asked her teacher about cutting, and basically she got thrown out of the classroom and said, "Get the fuck out of here." And on the break, he basically did tell her, "You just shut the fuck up. You're just starting your life, and I have family." And you know,
what do you mean
in
about
a
cutting?
way, I cannot pronounce it right. I try to Google it in a moment so I can pronounce it right. Sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm trying to say, like back then, I have a feeling from the stories from my mother that in Poland, for example, it was often more clear what not to do to don't get in prison than now. Like now, you actually are not sure everything you say can be turned into that thing. And I know Russia have it, and I know we didn't have as bad as Russia in Poland. So that's the thing. But it's weird for me to think that for my mother in communist country of Poland, it was more clear what to do, what not to do to stay out of prison than it is, for example, for me. And I'm trying to Google because
and that's what's so scary about Dankula, because it is so, you know, that they literally can say, okay, you say it's clearly X, and we're going to say it's completely the opposite, and we're going to send you to prison for it. And you're going to go, what the fuck? How do we get here?
That is the question.
And that is what is so scary about the Dankula case, because it's exactly that we don't know anymore what to do right, what to do wrong. And they're introducing laws and policy after policy saying, somebody can just point at you and say, that person was being hateful towards me, and you've done an offence, even if it wasn't an offence, and you're going to get into trouble.
I'm sorry, because Mod wants to say something, but before I mute my mic, because of my pronunciation, I put in a chat for you guys in the stream, the cutting massacre. I cannot pronounce that freaking word. So you know, relevant what I meant.
So now I'm here again. See, the thing is, and this is what makes the UK situation so incredibly dangerous, because they've been trying to do this all over the Western world. They're trying to do this in every single country. But so far, they haven't been brazen enough to say, okay, teachers, report on each other. This is something that we haven't seen since the Second World War and since communistic Russia. Well, and McCarthy, America, fair enough. But yeah, that was a counter to Russia. This is what we were talking about last week as well. This is why these laws need to be repealed, because if they're not, I fear for the UK, and in all fairness, for the rest of Europe, because the UK isn't that far out of Europe yet, and we're going to do the same thing, because we're already doing the same thing. Yeah. Because in Germany, people are being arrested for criticizing what we are doing with the how do you call it, refugees?
Yeah. You know, and Tree of Logic was banned from Germany. She didn't go to Germany ever again.
Yeah.
Because even though she's American, they will arrest her for violating various crimes just because of things she said about the acts of Muslims.
Yep. Yeah. And the worst part is, they are not arresting you for hate speech because you are wrong. They're arresting you for hate speech because it is true, but they don't want you to know.
Yeah. No, they're attacking you because of your motivation.
And the worst part is, like, after one of the bombings in, I think it was in England, like the chief police, or I don't know, that the police is basically saying that if you are putting hateful comments on Facebook, they will find you. We were looking for you and we will find you. And I'm like, what the fuck? People died. There was another bombing.
Yeah, we've had several.
And you're talking about people writing shit on Facebook that you will find them.
Yeah, we had several police forces tweet out, if you say something mean on Twitter, we will find you, we will get you. It's amazing.
That female commissioner that went on television to say that after the Telford rape scandal, the grooming gangs, the Muslim grooming gangs, they never say Muslim grooming gangs, but they are. She basically said, they've always had rape gangs and grooming gangs. They don't give a crap about children, the leftists, in that aspect, but they will control your speech if you offend them like children. Do you see what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. They're not interested in reality. They're interested in their narrative. Reality be damned.
It's self-defeating.
You know what I would like for the Dankula process? There was a lot of comments and stuff. What I would really like is, on the day of conviction, I would like John Cleese and Ricky Gervais and Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson. Those three guys should be there in the courtroom as witnesses. I would really think that would be appropriate, because they all had stances for free speech, and they're all comedians. If they were there, then the press would be there, you know.
Oh, come on.
And then they should make an official statement. So rather than paying for expensive lawyers and trying to talk Count Dankula into making this process even longer, we should lobby towards those famous comedians to come to the trial date. I think that would be the best thing ever.
It also won't happen, to be honest.
Can't he appeal?
You don't know this. You don't know this. He's on the radar, you know.
Someone posted he needs £50,000 to fund the appeal.
So yeah, I wouldn't fund the £50,000, but I would fund tickets, train tickets and plane tickets for those comedians to come to the trial. That's what I would do. Just put them under pressure. Look, you get a free ticket. We even buy you a free meal. Just witness the trial at your own leisure. You can say what you want. You can like it or not. But I would like you to witness this. You know.
The thing is, if we look at John Cleese, I mean, we're all in agreement that John Cleese is one of Britain's most famous comedians, right?
And he would be in jail if he was Count Dankula.
He would be in jail. In all fairness, any one of you seen Fawlty Towers, just to name one of his shows?
Oh, but that was a very long time ago in a very different era.
But it was a far larger bit than a dog lifting his right.
No, I know. But the point is people managed to get... You're on Real Raven.
Real, you're showing your face, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You're scaring away the people.
Very funny. I want to mute myself.
But yeah, you know, I mean, the difference in culture over time. You know, everyone can say, you know,
cheers, mate.
Wouldn't get made today. You know, and you don't have to go long ago.
Oh yeah.
Mel Brooks would never have a movie made today.
No. So many funny things.
Fawlty Towers.
Even Hello, which was a mainstream sitcom set in Nazi-occupied France.
Yeah, hello, exactly. That would not be. That would be. Oh, wow! That could all be arrested.
Wait, you know what's really funny about the Hello series, by the way? It was pretty accurate. The fact that the German officers and the French peasants weren't at odds with each other. That's actually pretty accurate.
People adapt. This is, you know, and it's not unreasonable that people.
Well, that's not the only thing, but especially when Rommel was in charge of the French coast, he was actually how do you say this?
But Rommel was turned on in the end by the Nazis. So
yeah, that is true. That is true. But the French people actually, of course, they didn't enjoy his company because he was one of the oppressors and whatnot. But he was a reasonable soldier, and he actually defended the French people. And when he would go around the French coast to inspect it, he would always visit French taverns, as they did in Allo Allo, because that's what they got that from, and talk about how things were going. Ask people what they needed. Sorry. He was considered a very benign occupier, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard a bad word said about Mr. Rommel, ever.
No, not even by the ones he defeated.
No, especially by the ones he defeated.
So yeah.
And he did a lot of that defeating of others.
Yeah. He was a wise general, which is scary, really. But that's what we got Hitler to thank for. Hitler was a tactical idiot. Yeah. If he wasn't, then we would have had a problem. But yeah, Hitler was a tactical idiot. And hi there, Malachite. By the way, I didn't even say hi to people. Hi there, Malachite. Hi there, High Desert Pioneer. Hi there, Crusader. Hi there, Marcel. Hi there, Alicia. But then again, I have been responding to people. So
how are you all? I've been quiet. I've been listening to this because this is just awesome.
Well, it's a good talk. We're having a good ramble. But yeah, there is.
Guys, on freedom, can I share something from my friend Tailed Feature? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw that. It was very good.
Have you seen it?
From whom?
Tailed Feature.
Yes, his video.
I got a lot from
I haven't seen it.
No,
okay, you're in for a fucking treat. Just as an intermission, okay? It's only 1 or 2 minutes long, but it's really quite clever. Check this out. Can you hear this?
Broadcast for the Scottish Numpty Party.
Yep, I saw that.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yes.
Listen to this. This is really good.
My fellow Scots, many of you, the SNP MSP for Auchensugal, think about the recent conviction of Mark Meehan, aka Count Dankula, under the Communications Act 2003. Scotland has a long history of freedom of expression, including the freedom to offend. Just look at the sectarianism at Rangers v Celtic football matches. Until we made it illegal, of course, and rightly so. That said, I am absolutely 100% in favour of Meehan's conviction, as repeating the phrase "gas the Jews" 23 times in short succession is a heinous act against common decency. Imagine being so vile as to say "gas the Jews" so many times. Gas the Jews is an abhorrent phrase. Gas the Jews is an utterance that should be offensive to any reasonable person. And to say "gas the Jews" so often as well.
Yeah.
He even admitted that "gas the Jews" was the most offensive phrase he could think of, yet he still said "gas the Jews" 23 times. As the sheriff remarked, "Gas the Jews" is anti-Semitic in nature. Saying "gas the Jews," regardless of context, is unacceptable. Repetition of "gas the Jews" only seeks to normalise anti-Semitic behaviour and sentiment.
I think he's completely right about gas the Jews. What do you say?
I say, yeah. But I
yeah, you wouldn't say gas the Jews, would you? Would you say
No. It should be gas the...
Yeah, you wouldn't either. I know you're a reasonable person, Carlos. You wouldn't say gas the Jews, right?
Never. I would never say gas the Jews. I'm the most Zionist Gentile ever, and I would never.
Modwain, would you say it? Modwain, you wouldn't say it, would you?
What? Would I say gas the Jews? I wouldn't understand why would you want to gas Jews? I mean, I'd rather drink juice.
Exactly. It's ridiculous.
Raven, do you remember the Reasonable Questions video when one of them talked about S-Jews?
S-Jews is a H-bomber.
So I wouldn't say gas the Jews. I would say gas the S-Jews.
Okay.
Exactly.
That sounds nasty too.
And Bumblebee. She also labelled herself S-Jews.
Yeah, so
we still shouldn't gas the S-Jews either. Gas these Jews.
Yeah, but it's not racist because they're not a race.
Exactly.
See, I don't understand all of this.
I can say it. I
neither.
won't be. I have a
But it is clever. It's the Skeptor argument. He said that whatever you say, if it's offensive, always before you tweet it, add a tweet beforehand. I would never say something like the following. It's absolutely despicable.
You do realise this is the Jess Phillips argument against Sargon of Akkad?
Yeah.
No? How?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Because he said I wouldn't even, and she said that was disingenuous, and you've just supported her argument.
Not really, though. I mean,
No, that's different. That's saying the opposite of it's opposite day, right?
I'm joking.
And insinuating.
I mean,
That would be if Count Dankula told his dog not to gas the juice. Don't
gas the juice.
I
Well,
wouldn't
I mean, it's
even.
a dog.
I wouldn't
Have you ever been in a room with a dog? Trust me, he will gas you.
He'll gas you eventually.
Yes.
If he feels comfortable. I heard that it's a sign for a comfortable dog. If it
I'm going to bed, guys. It was lovely listening to you and having my own little talk, whatever I felt like it. But thank you for having me on. It's always an honor. And see you soon.
Carlos.
Good night.
Sorry, I thought you said you were going to do streams last night and tonight. Did I miss those?
I was going to try, but I built my computer and I've just put it off. I will do more streams soon, yes.
It's always the
can't
ones with the
promise
jobs who
anything.
leave first, right?
I can't promise anything because Monday, yes, I can always do Mondays, but during the week, a lot of shit happen, a lot of stuff I have to juggle and yeah. But we'll see. We'll see.
Whenever it is, I look forward to it.
Exactly.
I'm sorry that you have to go now, mate, but I hope to see you next week.
Oh, of course. Hope probably not. I'm going to have an operation next week, a small one, just a small one.
Nothing bad, I hope.
No, nothing serious. I'm in one day, out the next. Just a small slight problem. I'm waiting for the letter from the hospital to prepare myself. But no, it's nothing serious. I'm still going to do Monday, and I'll probably do another one after summer. So yes, it's nothing serious. It's nothing. So just a small corrective surgery. So yeah.
Good luck, though.
Yeah. Thank you all, and good night to everyone.
Sleep well, mate.
See you.
Sleep well.
But yeah, there is a serious problem that we're having, and we really need to face it, because saying gas the Jews might not be nice, but how is it grossly offensive?
No, but that's the trouble, Mod, because grossly offensive is legally meaningless. To whom? In what context?
It's intent as well. It's not just the phrase; it's also the intent.
But they explicitly
the judge would say the way I said it, the way Carlos said it, and now you as well, Modwain. If he's a malicious judge, he can say you, I, and Carlos, because we said it, even if we quoted it. Then he can ascribe intent to us being Nazis, right? And that is the problem. The intent.
Yeah, it's a problem because the intent explicitly stated, and as far as I'm concerned, fully confirmed by the video itself, was overturned by the judge because the judge didn't believe him. Well, anyone can say, I don't believe you to anything at any time, in any context.
But yeah, well, maybe he didn't believe it wasn't even. He didn't even. Well, maybe he said he wouldn't believe, but it was an edict, like from the ones in power that prescribe. Dr. Rendermacam, he made actually a song about it, but he prescribed what the underling, the subhuman that's not part of the. He's just like not even working class. He's just some filth in the eyes of the sovereign, the judge, and they ascribe intent. It's like maybe a little bit like a scientist looking at a spider, you know, cutting the legs off one after the other, and saying it's very interesting. You tell you cut off one leg and tell the spider go to the left, and it goes a step to the left, and then you cut up the next leg and go to the right, and it goes to the right, and he keeps doing it until all the legs are cut off and the spider doesn't move. Go to the right, go to the right, and then he puts down into his observation book, spiders without legs can't hear. Okay, sorry, I don't know where that came from.
But it's actually scary that like we could have the whole stream about Count Dankula, and you just, because you cannot say gas the Jews, and then you are not even allowed to quote so that the people know what you are talking about, even if you would actually be theoretically, if you would think that he's supposed to go to jail. We don't think that. We cannot even quote that. We cannot even say that he said gas the Jews, because
it's taboo.
so that people fucking know what we're talking about.
Yeah. And then you
Ridiculous,
just read all
seriously.
these articles and you don't even realise that they're talking about somebody who said gas the Jews. It's amazing.
Yeah, and how am I supposed to, for example, teach my son history and teach my son what's really wrong if I cannot even speak to him?
Yeah.
I think what you need to do, you need to desensitize people, you know. So you need to look at the most offensive shit by all sorts of other comedians as well. And then take out the most offensive stuff that they said and quote it back and say, look, this is a piece of art by this.
To anybody.
Huh? What?
I will not submit Amy Schumer on anybody.
Well, just use the life of Brian. The meaning of life, rather. Every sperm is sacred, you know. Pick that up.
You said offensive. We obviously have different ideas of what's offensive.
It was just did you not see the one with the Catholic mum and
No, it's a brilliant dance sequence. Trust me.
I just have to tell. I mean, not everybody in Modwain's audience is an old fart like you and me. So the scene is she's washing up in the kitchen, and there's 17 children in the kitchen already, and father comes in. Oh yeah, before he comes up, you hear kind of a plop, and she's actually birthing a baby, and it falls to the floor while she's doing the washing up, and she says to her daughter, "Pick that up." And then it transpires that father comes in and says, "I have something important to say to you and the children," and she says, "Oh, okay, Mary, get the others." And then there's like 35 children in the kitchen, and it transpires that they're Catholics and they cannot actually use contraception. So the moral choice would be, since he can't feed them and he can't use contraceptions, he will have to sell them for medical experiments. So that's the conclusion of it. That was hilarious.
No, but
it used to be offensive, this, you know.
It's the chorus of the song that's wonderful. Every sperm is sacred.
It's sacred, yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's just stuff like that needs to be shown to the kids and shown to them and said to them, isn't it hilarious that this was offensive, you know? Or maybe it still is. But, you know, it was offensive because people had thought that the Catholic faith was something that should be protected. And isn't it hilarious that we have those laws back now? That blasphemy is back, because if you say that, like Lauren Southern, to go back to her, if you can keep her from entering the country because she says something about God, then that's a blasphemy law. It's okay if you call it racism. That's just a special code word. You know, it's not really racism because, you know, God isn't of a race.
No,
right?
exactly.
So it's still a blasphemy law. It still is, you know.
Yeah.
It's just you can call it
stupidity.
Racism, right? But it still is a religious law. So that's very interesting, and I think that we get that creeping back in. We get a lot of laws being passed about people's beliefs. It's similar. Feminism is a similar kind of thing. It's a religion, you know. There's things like privilege that you just accept on faith. Atheism is Unstoppable video I saw today, he was criticizing Matt Dillahunty. Matt Dillahunty postulated, although he is a very good debunker of, like, he's basically an atheist, an anti-theist, and he debunks religion, but he had to posit that as a white man you have privilege always. Well, he couldn't put a reason behind it. It was an edict of faith. It was very interesting.
Matt Dillahunty bought into the Atheism Plus thing, and he's a feminist, and therefore he is compromised.
But he now says that there is a built-in systemic structural system of systemic structuralism. He cannot give any examples, but if you are of color, then you are always disadvantaged. And he's quoting some statistics that somebody who is black, born rich as a black woman, doesn't hold on to the money as good as a white woman rich. It's some weird thing, you know, that.
Did he say where?
It's basically saying, and it happens to black men. What?
No, did he say where? Because this is what really pisses me off.
America.
Yeah, exactly. They don't say, oh, yeah, this is a racist thing because whites have the privilege. Okay, in majority white countries. What about everywhere else in the world? Perhaps it's not about your race after all.
Tell me about the white privilege in any African country, or in any Arabian, Middle Eastern country, or any Asian country.
Yeah, but even if you keep it in America, what's really important as a postulate is that a black man will find himself in prison. It's not through any of his actions. Yeah. He is just imprisoned.
He's walking down the street one day and bazam, he's in prison.
It's the trope. It's the trope of the removing the agency of a person. And it was the same with the radical feminism. It's you find yourself in a situation. Feminism. That's when you remove agency from people and you kind of infantilize them. So if that happened to you as a woman, as a black person, as a whatever, trans, whatever, you know, insert your minority group here. If something happens to you, it's always due not to any of your actions. It just happens to you because you have no agency. You are like a baby. In its cot, you know.
And the best thing is, every one of us is part of a minority group.
Yeah.
Every one of us. No. Even white males in the UK are a minority group because there are less than 50% of the population are white males.
Well, worldwide, white males and white females are a minority.
Yeah, right? 17% or something, isn't it?
No, but what I'm saying is you only need a few immigrants to stop white people in a mostly white country being in a majority. If you divide them by sex as well.
I'm not quite sure I understand that one.
Yeah, right. So they say, oh, white men are the majority. No, we're not. Less than 50% of the population is male, and less than 50%, and less than 100% of males are white. Therefore, by definition, we're, say, 38% of the population. So we're a minority.
Yep.
And even if you take women who are 51%, you take the white women, they're less than half. They're a minority. Everyone belongs to a minority because there isn't one group who is the majority.
There is no majority then.
Exactly, and that's the point. That's why it's all BS.
But even if there were a majority, I'm sorry, but if in the UK or in any Western country, and I'm talking about Hispanic Western countries as well, yeah, you know what? I don't mind if Spanish people are the majority in Spain, or white UK people, like white English people are the majority in England, or white German people are the majority in Germany. You know what? Guess what? There isn't a country outside of Europe or outside of the white Western world where the majority of people isn't the inhabitants of that country.
Of course. And that was my whole point.
But in the Western world, we push for this insane idea of diversity at the cost of the majority, at the cost of the native people.
Yeah.
This happens nowhere. I don't understand this. This is.
I watched a video by Hassan Al-Madani, who's he lives in Spain, but he's from Iraq, and he was saying when he talks to Iraqis, and he tells them that London has elected a Pakistani Muslim as mayor, they lose all respect for the English.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because their expectation is a population select their own to lead them.
Yeah, you'd think so.
And so Iraqis lose respect for British for electing a Muslim as a mayor.
They probably would call it cucked if they were actually using that word.
Yes, precisely. And they're very.
Sorry?
One moment.
You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, no, the son was talking to me. The mayor in Rotterdam is a Muslim as well. But then again, in all fairness, he is a good mayor.
Yeah.
So
but that wasn't the point. It was purely on principle.
Yeah.
He was talking that.
No, I still agree with you, even though I think the mayor that we have in Rotterdam, he's doing a good job. But I do agree with you that it's weird that how many Dutch mayors are there in Morocco? Because he comes from Morocco. How many Dutch mayors are there in Morocco? Or you know what? Let's say we have one in Rotterdam. So what other Muslim city in the world do we have a Dutch mayor? But that's the thing. It's only the Western world, the white Western world, that seems to be forced to admit that they have to be diverse. There isn't a country or a society in the world where people say, okay, yeah, you're a black country. You need more white people.
Yeah, exactly. It's yes, and they're the ones who claim the moral high ground.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't understand this. And worldwide, white people, and I don't like to say white people because crap, they're all different ones anyway.
Yes.
But white Caucasian people are the minority. We're the smallest group. Well, no, we're the second smallest group out there.
Let's be honest. Europe is a pretty small continent.
Oh, all right. America is bigger. But it's weird because I think it's only the Inuit that is a smaller group than what we consider white. I'm not sure if it's 8% in the world, Crusader Soul. But then again, it depends. Do you count Hispanics and Latins as white as well?
How did we get to this minority-majority kind of thing? I thought we were talking about freedom. Does anybody know
Don't you see how they are linked?
To Skeptor? No, yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think I think propaganda and bullshit ideas and freedom are linked, not minority versus majority.
No. They're very strongly attached because the white people either are racist because they don't see themselves as a majority, or they are racist because they defend themselves as being a minority.
Yeah,
so you're just arguing. You realize you're just arguing after the fact and playing by the rules that others have set up. You know this whole argumentation.
No, real. You asked how did we get here? And how we got here?
Yeah, I understand that, but I think it's kind of boring. You know, because it's not cutting to the root. You're just kind of you're talking about the symptoms now.
Actually, you say that, but you have to get to the psychology, and the psychology comes from this discussion.
Yeah. Actually, we are cutting.
No, I don't think because what we're seeing the effects with this whole majority bullcrap. But you haven't really explained where the psychology of guilt comes from.
I didn't say we've explained where the psychology of guilt from. I'm saying we discussed this issue to get to that point. You're going to the answer. We haven't got there yet.
Yeah. So, does anybody know what happened to Skeptor's video? You know, he
The one that got taken down. Yes, it got
yeah.
mirrored.
Did that get reinstated yet?
I've seen it. It's been mirrored, and it's on Minds.
Okay, I understand that, but is it back on his channel, on the Jew's channel? The Jew who said nothing contentious about. He was the only one. He was the only Jew. He was the only Jew, I repeat, who officially took a stance on the Count Dankula topic. And
he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, was there another Jew?
Gad Sad.
Oh, that's true.
Oh yeah.
And he did it almost immediately.
Yeah, so Gatsad they couldn't silence because he has too much clout. You know, he's too well known. Skeptor is probably too small for you know. So they thought they could stump that out. Also, Gatsad is a university professor, and it would have been a bad look to do that.
He's an Arab. He's a victim of almost being killed for his Jewishness.
Yeah.
He is at the very peak of the oppression pyramid.
True. Skeptor is he's probably a gamergator or something. He's so much privilege. He has it in spades. And he's living, I think, near in Israel, I think.
Yes, he's
super privileged. It's crazy. If you're not exiled, if you're Jew and you're not exiled, it doesn't count, right? I was just interested whether his appeal went through yet, you know. But I think you have how many weeks time? Like 6 weeks until YouTube can delay it that long?
I don't know.
Until nobody is interested anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, that's the thing.
You know what? I wanted to Modwain. I wanted to mirror it, and I couldn't download it. It was forbidden for me. I could not download it. I tried Clip Converter, FreeMake. All of them said forbidden. So I couldn't even mirror it.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yep. Well, I'm in Ireland.
I'm just trying to think who mirrored it. I think it was a friend of mine.
Yeah, man, I could download the mirror. It's just you lose quality every time, but I could do that, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then remove your friend's copyright and put mine on or whatever. I don't know. It's just bugs me, you know. If you know, it just bugs me that you have to mirror a mirror and you can't take the direct thing, even though Skeptor is my personal friend. You know, it's just ridiculous. You know.
Maybe what you should do is get a VPN. That way you can probably download it because you can basically pretend that you're in Belgium or in America or even in Israel.
Okay.
And that way
but not if YouTube have struck it. Which was the point with Skeptor's video.
No, I mean other people did mirror it. They managed to download it somehow. But maybe it's just my ISP or something that blocks it. But
yeah, probably.
I tried different ways, you know, and just couldn't do it. And I was thinking about a low-tech version. I could just film it off my browser and just re-encode it that way. It's a little bit low-tech, but you know, it would be one way. Because I can watch it, it just bugs me that I can't just re-upload it, you know, although I can watch it. And I would have Skeptor's permission. He said, go on, mirror it, you know. It's just a weird world, isn't it? Freedom.
Yeah. But that's the thing. And this is what the left is basically doing upon us. And this is the dangerous thing because people are being asked.
By the way, I'm still stuck on my... No, I'm not, sorry.
No, you're not. You shouldn't be.
No, it's fine.
It's just that you talk so goddamn much.
Yeah, it was lag, sorry. Because I care.
No, but the main issue is not so much that we are slowly turning into a society that turns on each other. We are turning into the USSR. We are turning in Europe, in Great Britain, in Ireland, in the Netherlands, in Germany. We are turning into the USSR.
What do you do? What do you do against it, Modwain?
Talk to everyone, to my colleagues,
and not just here on the Hangout. You also do it with your friends, right?
I try to, yeah.
In real life, because I think that's an important point. You know that you go out to your friends.
But people don't believe it. People don't think that way. People think you're a kook when you say stuff like that.
Well, it depends. You know, you have to attack. I think you have to attack something that they really love. You know, and say that's by the way, that could be racist because this is
No,
racist, so this is racist.
They don't see it that way. If I'm good, I mean, I had this talk with my colleague not too long ago about those "it's okay to be white" stickers and thingies. So we're talking about it, and I said, okay, well, there is this thing. It's okay to be white. Oh yeah, no, that's racist. Oh,
so
how
it's
is
not
it
okay
racist?
to be white. Yeah.
So how is it
That's
racist?
an easy conversation, though, isn't it? I mean,
no, it's not, because people don't think about it because they've been indoctrinated about it.
But, I mean,
Hell,
that's-
I'm working at a pretty high level of education, so my colleagues are pretty educated, but people don't recognize how indoctrinated they are.
Just give them the rope to hang themselves with, you know.
It's
You just
not just that.
explain this to me, you know. You could just say,
It's not
explain
just
it to me.
that. The higher they are in terms of education, the more indoctrinated they are as well. So, in fact, considering someone highly educated is not necessarily counter to how indoctrinated they are. It's in fact very correlative.
Yeah, and this is scary. No, let me finish, please, on this one, because this is really scary. I had to talk with my colleagues about whether it was or wasn't racist to say it's okay to be white. And at first, her first response was, "Oh, that's racist." So I started talking, okay, and I wasn't attacking her. I was just asking questions. So is it okay to be Asian? Is it okay to be Japanese? Is it okay to be Turkish? Is it okay to be blah, 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 blah? You know, all of them. Oh, yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, no, that's okay too. Is it okay to be from Ghana? Yeah, no, that's okay too. So why is it not okay to be white? And this colleague actually was fair enough to say, you know what? You're right. I don't know. But most people you ask these questions will not say, I don't know. They will just repeat their stance because they have been indoctrinated. It takes a strong mind to let go of your indoctrination.
You have to come to the point where you say, you don't have to say that it's okay to be white. The only thing you have to admit that it's not okay to say it. And then you know where you are. You're not in a free society.
No,
because it's actually okay. It's not okay to be white. You just can't say it. You just can't say it, right? You can't think it. It's okay, but you can't think it. So your freedom is taken away.
Seriously, you don't understand it. These people don't even think that the problem is that you say it. The problem is that you think it. How can you think
exactly.
like that?
And that's the problem, because it's a premise. That is the problem. The premise that it even matters what colour you are.
But
and that's what you attack. You don't attack white, black, Asian, whatever. You attack the very premise, because the people pushing this narrative claim to not care about those things.
No, actually, that's not true. They say you're racist. Everybody is racist, and if you say you're colorblind, you're extra racist.
Yeah.
So they do admit that they care about. They actually admit that they are racist and that they're very deeply about racism.
But they don't call themselves racist.
But they care about it. They care. They're colorist. Yeah, it's the new one, yeah. Exactly. If you're black, it's only colorist.
It's only the same as how they call themselves Marxist, even though they're the bourgeoisie only acting in their own interests. It's double think talk.
Yeah. I mean, it's always when they come out with new words like colorist. When they say, "Oh, I'm not racist. I may be colorist," I would say, "Oh, that's great." Like what you say. Let's say if a black person drinks water, is there also a special word for that? Is that maybe like I don't know, beauty liquid ingestion or something, and it's different from when a white person drinks? You know, it's just like there's special words for like it's like it's so weird.
But the thing is, it's so transparent, and yet they get so many people going along with it. It's insane.
But that's the thing. This is an old story of 1001 Nights or Arabian Nights or what it's called. Yeah. If someone runs into the palace and shouts, "A tiger is in the palace, a tiger is in the palace," most people will ignore it. Yeah. If a second person runs through the palace after that one and says, "Oh, a tiger is in the palace, a tiger is in the palace," some people might actually get alerted. They might look around. But people won't believe it until at least a third or a fourth person runs through the palace shouting there's a lion or a tiger in the palace.
Mhm.
Now imagine this the other way around.
So you only need
If
three
we look-
idiots
No, if we look
to
at a
follow
country,
one.
No, not idiots. This actually happened. There's a famous case in England decades ago where lions escaped from a circus and they broke into a school. They charged into a school, one of them through the glass window, and a kid ran around saying, "There's a lion on the loose," and no one believed him. And there was a lion on the loose.
Yeah.
but this happens. Let me look like a country. Let me look into like a country like the Netherlands. Yeah, we've got about 80 million people. 1/8. Most of these people solemnly believe that being a racist is bad.
Yeah.
They completely believe that. But you can only be a racist towards other races, because you can never be a racist towards your own race, because, well, obviously you're not going to be a racist towards your own race, right?
Yeah. You'd think.
So suddenly, everything you complain about of your own race isn't racism, but everything you complain about for people
because of their race.
Yeah, but everything you complain about for other people that are of a different race is automatically racism, even if you're not complaining about race, but about how someone isn't working well.
Or even just pointing out how they are.
And there we have the basic problem of our society. And this is the problem of the Western world. And this is why It's Okay to Be White was such a shitstorm, because a lot of people actually didn't realize how fucking indoctrinated they are. And it takes a man of strong fortitude, or a woman of strong fortitude, obviously, to break conditioning. No, I'm not Canadian. I'm not going to say person. Fuck that.
No, you can say person. It's allowed. Not person kind, but just person.
I'll say man or woman.
Perfectly legitimate term.
Yeah, but I'm going to limit it to men or women.
Yeah, who are people.
Which are people?
Persons.
Yeah, no, because if I say persons, then people feel like, yes, see, he agrees with our pansexual dog shit.
No, that's BS.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. No, I mean, it's BS that one can legitimately draw that conclusion.
Well, I'm scared.
I don't believe that.
Actually, the funny well, not funny. I'm currently, this is going to take me forever, but I'm working on it's going to be a series of videos on a PBS documentary about transgenderism.
Oh.
Yes. It's really heinous. I mean,
What's a PBS?
PBS
That's
is
American Public Broadcasting.
Okay.
And they promise in the beginning of the thingy, they promise how they're going to talk about serious issues, but basically what they talk about is how we should allow people to be transitioning more. They're talking about teenagers and preteens to transition from sex A to sex B.
Public service indoctrination, in other words.
Oh, hell yes. And there are two stories, and one of them, the father is absolutely not in favor of it. Guess what happened to that marriage?
Yeah. But in Canada, he could go to jail.
Yeah,
Seriously?
now he can. Well, the documentary was made in 2015, so.
Yeah, that was before, yeah.
Yeah, that was
But no, I mean, the element you were talking about is the white guilt that's the problem. It's the way that so many of us are brought up to think badly of our past and of our cultures. And it's that's where we have to fight. We have to say, no, we live in the best societies there have ever been, the most equal societies, the wealthy societies, the most tolerant societies. Because the lie is that we're intolerant, that we're prejudiced, that we discriminate and are oppressive. Those are the lies. Yep. Everything comes from those. That's where we have to attack, because you can attack the specifics, such as, oh, Dankula's not racist. It's irrelevant. It all comes from
irrelevant.
attitudes grounded in these attitudes.
Yep. That's also why I said last week we have to fight the law, not the ruling.
Yeah. But attitudes, you get the law change.
You are elderly,
social
mate, but
attitudes change. And social attitudes will change when you tell people to stop the feeling the fuck guilty for things they had nothing to do with, and most of the time weren't bad in the first place.
yeah. It's well, I've said this many a time, but it is really worrying. To me, it's really worrying because I do see our society slipping, and I fear. I mean, this is basically the same crap that happened in Germany and in Italy after the First World War. The people are being forced to take a stance, and at first people want to be tolerant and they take a stance to be tolerant, but eventually people will turn against that because they know that they can't uphold what they are told to uphold, and either people are going to succumb to it, like the teachers in England now have to, or they're going to stand up and fight.
Or they will tolerate it until they can't tolerate it anymore.
Which will eventually then turn out
because
the same
people
thing.
will, if they think they're alone, if they think they have no chance of resisting, they will tolerate and they will fester and complain under the surface.
And in the end, it will get worse. And we really need to go back to a merit-based system within the rule of law. But we also need to make sure that the rule of law is, well, as bias-free as possible. I mean, if you have...
We need major voices to stop lying.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem. I mean, the classic example was that Monroe Bergdorf video. I don't know if you saw it. The transsexual woman model who had a slot on the BBC and
used it to slander white people.
And it was lies. It was all based on historical lies and inaccuracies.
Yep.
So where were the historians going? I'm sorry, but you are talking out your fucking arse.
Because people like to hear shit like that. People don't like to turn down bullshit like that. They don't like to say, no, this is provably wrong.
Yeah, and that's what the problem is.
People don't even respond well to when you do show them how they are provably wrong. They just pretend that you're being mean to them or something.
And what happened? Monroe Bergdorf lost a job at L'Oreal. Then she got hired by the fucking Labour Party. Then she lost her job there. And all the time, this is the fault of right-wing trolls, not her own fucking hideous racist opinions.
Yeah, that is true. That is, but it's also very scary because people, and I would love to, for example, talk to Sargon about his liberalism, and I would love to talk to Tommy Robinson about his movement.
Well, Tommy hasn't got a movement.
Yeah, he does.
No, he doesn't.
Well, yeah, he does. It's not an official movement, but yeah, he does.
You mean the football fans thing?
No. He is the head of a silent, well, not a silent movement. He's the head of an, how do you call it? It's not an organized movement, but people follow him anyway.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing.
Yeah, it is, though. It is a movement.
No, it's not. That's like a bearing of being responsible for this.
No. You're talking two things. It's not that he's responsible for it, but it is a movement.
He's not the head of it.
I never said he was the head of it. I'm not really saying he's the head of it. I'm saying he's leading it, and he's not doing it.
Sorry.
Let me.
Difference.
Yeah, I don't understand. No. This semantic difference is important. It's not so much that he's not the head of it, as in it's an
to be a
organization.
leader is semantically equivalent to being a head.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Some people are actually leading by example, John.
Yeah, but then they're not leaders. They are role models, perhaps.
They're called it a role model. I don't mind. Same thing.
Yeah, but it's not.
Yeah, it is, though.
A leader and a head is the same thing. A leader and a role model are not the same thing.
Well, that now who's talking semantic?
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking.
Yeah,
This is
you
a
are,
very
mate.
important differentiation.
No, not really.
If somebody has millions of fans, take Justin Bieber, right?
Yeah.
Millions of fans.
Yeah.
He is not a head or a leader.
Okay. But people aren't following him. People aren't looking into him.
You're joking, right?
No, they're following him in a different way.
You're joking, right?
No, not
The
joking at all.
believers,
They're not following him in the same way.
the believers, the
Yes.
people who en masse attack and criticize anyone who doesn't like Justin Bieber.
Oh,
How is that different?
It's not really that much different.
Thank you.
But then you're making my point as well.
No, I'm not. My
Yeah,
point
you are.
is that he's not a leader. There's a fundamental difference between a role and something you're doing. You know, if you go out and you do something and then lots of people say, oh, look at him, that's brilliant, we'll copy him, you aren't leading anything. Because you are not consciously setting out to be ahead of something.
That's not what he's doing.
He founded the EDL. He was involved with the EDL.
Yeah.
That is him being a leader.
No.
Yes.
No, he's not part of the EDL for a long time. And
no, I said when he founded the EDL, that was him being a leader.
But he's doing what he's doing now is causing more waves than the EDL.
Yes, that doesn't matter. But
yeah,
he's doing it as a private individual.
I'm not saying he's not doing it as a private individual. There is no organization behind it.
He's not then a leader, not in the context of a formal movement.
Yeah, he's not in the context of a formal movement. It's an informal
movement. And that is an
movement.
important distinction.
No, that's not true because you can have...
No, it is an important distinction. It's a very important distinction.
You can have informal movements as well. That's the word I was looking for a moment ago, by the way. Informal.
But it fundamentally changes the nature of the role he's playing.
Informal.
No, not informer. Informal.
Okay.
The role changes, yes. But at the same time, the role also changes in the other direction. He is leading people by example. People are...
But does he seek to and put a name to it and organize officially? Because
he doesn't put a name to it, but he does organize officially.
In what way?
Well, he has organized several marches and whatnot. And his episode at Speaker's Corners also organized. So it's not that he doesn't organize things. He just doesn't do it out of a movement or a party or whatever. But at the same time, it's still, well, it is a movement. Even though he hasn't... Yeah, it is. It really is, because
society is full of those movements. It's just that usually one cannot identify a clear head. And the head might change.
True. But that doesn't mean that this isn't a movement.
But it's all about the article.
No.
It is. It's all about the article. If he has a movement that is his, that is fundamentally different to a movement that just exists out there.
But I'm not saying it's his movement.
Then he's not the head of it.
Now, who's talking semantics again?
No, I'm not. No, because definitions matter. When we talk about things, the problem is if they're mischaracterized, people get the wrong understanding, and then all the thinking goes wrong. And this is what happens all the time because people are not very clear about what they're talking about. And therefore, before we start talking, it is really important to be very clear to define what we're talking about.
But the thing is, it is, in a way, a movement. And it's not a positive or a negative movement, but it is. And we need to be aware of what's going on. Because people like Tommy Robinson and the movement that he is more or less creating, like the football lads, like the people showing up in Speaker's Corner, it is a sign of the times. It is a show that there are plenty of people in society that already have a problem with the way things are being done.
So it's a wide general reaction, not a specific movement, which is my point.
I'm not really agreeing with you on that one, but okay, fair point.
No, it is. It's a wide general reaction. Seemingly, like, for instance, I didn't know about the Speaker's Corners thing. Or else I might have gone. In advance. I didn't know about it in advance, so I couldn't go. I hadn't heard about it after the event, but I might have gone to show my support if I had known. And at the end of the day, the people who were able to attend were those people who heard about it.
True that. Well, there are a lot of people heard about it. He did put out a lot of information about it, that he would do this. And at first, it seemed like the police was actually going to try and stop him, which they eventually didn't, even though the police was there in massive numbers.
Yeah, I know, that was funny.
True that. But I do think it's time for us to call it quits, considering the time. And we did talk about a lot of nothing and a lot of some things, and who knows what will come next.
Well, we talked about as much as we normally do.
A lot of nothing.
True that.
You said it. Freedom!
Anyway, guys, 1 second.
Oops, he's gone.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. Anyway, I was thinking about calling it quits, considering the time, and I need to pee like a motherfucker.
It's not bad. We're not too bad. Only 20 past midnight here.
Yeah. Same here.
No, you're an hour later, mate.
No, we're not.
Are you not? Have you not changed hour yet?
Yeah, we have.
Then you should be 1:20.
We went an hour. I think we went an hour forward, not an hour back.
Yeah, then it should be 1:20 where you are.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I said 20 past midnight here.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood. That's okay. You're Irish.
We should really close off with the Scottish guy, you know, Mel Gibson.
Go ahead, then.
The Scottish guy, Mel Gibson. You mean the Australian American?
Yeah,
Australian American.
You know,
that guy who
Rob
hits
Roy,
his wife.
whatever his name was. Rob Roy.
And he's perfect because he's a bloody anti-Semite.
Kind of funny too. Anyway, when's your next video coming out, John?
Tomorrow-ish.
Tomorrow-ish.
I've spent hours this afternoon trying to download some nice images to go with it, and with dreams so far unachievable due to my absolute ignorance of video editing, of great visual effects and transitions and things.
You'll learn.
Yeah, maybe. I'm also very lazy. I'm all about the minimalism. A little bit.
I really need to put I need to put some more work into my stuff, but I still want to do my education, which hasn't seen a lot of work either. At the moment, I'm slacking in everything. Yay!
I've written some nice scripts though. I was thinking of doing a series called The Hypocrisy of Feminism.
Good luck.
Yeah, well, I thought it'll keep me going forever. It's
very long story.
Endless material.
You're not going to live long enough, mate. Even if you only make one episode a day, you're not going to live long enough.
That's the thing. I thought, if I set up a series and then I just can do something when I'm run out of ideas, or I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, that'll work. That's true. That'll work. Anyway, anyone want to add something or say something before I close this thingy down?
Yeah, it's not okay to say gas the kikes. It's not okay.
I've got a Jewish friend who's a Tottenham Hotspur supporter. For those who don't know, Tottenham Hotspur is the Jewish club in London. She's Jewish, and they have a expression they say, Yidami. So the Jewish people say, Yidami, Yidami. And the Football Association object to it because it's racist. Even though they're saying it about themselves. Proudly.
Still racist.
It's still racist.
Doesn't matter who says it.
Yeah. That sums up modern Britain.
I remember. I think it was an American band, a band made out of Asian guys, Japanese or Chinese, I can't remember, and they called themselves the Squints. And
yeah, I remember.
They got more or less banned because of their name, because it's offensive to Japanese people. They were Japanese, or Asian, or whatever. But no, you can't use this word because it's offensive. What the? This is political correctness gone wrong. Simple as that.
And this is the point about people objecting on others' behalf. There's an American comedian who's been in Britain for years. He's a black guy from Georgia, and he put on a play, or not a play, because he's a comedian, but he called it something with nigger in the title.
Oh my God, that's bad.
And everyone objected. And he's going, I'm a black guy from America.
All right. So weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but people still objected. Oh, you've got to love the modern world, eh?
Yeah, it's stupidity all around us. We need to keep talking about this. Anyway, guys, if we don't have anything to add, I want to thank everyone in the stream for being here. And currently only Crusader and Marcel Thielen are here, I guess. The rest of us are long gone. But yeah, thank you all for coming. And I hope to see you all next time. And then we're going to